Moscow, Idaho, a quiet college town nestled in rolling hills and wheat fields, home to the University of Idaho, where students fill coffee shops, walk tree-lined streets, and dream of the future. But on the night of November 12, 2022, something unthinkable happened. 4 students, Kaylee Goncalves, Madison Mogen, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin, were brutally murdered in their off-campus home. The crime would shatter the peace of Moscow, ignite a national media frenzy, and leave a community searching for answers. Kaylee Goncalves and Madison Mogen, best friends since childhood, inseparable. Kaylee was set to graduate early. Madison was the life of every party. Xana Kernodle, bright and athletic, was dating Ethan Chapin, a triplet and beloved fraternity member. That Saturday night, the house on King Road was filled with laughter. Kaylee and Madison went out to a popular bar, then grabbed late-night food from a food truck. Xana and Ethan attended a party at the Sigma Key House. By 2 a.m., all 4 were home. The house settled into silence. No one knew it would be the last night these friends would ever share. The next morning, November 13th, a 911 call shattered the quiet.
911 location of your emergency.
Something is happening. Something happened in our house. We don't know what.
What is the address of the emergency?
1122.
What is the rest of the address?
Oh, Kings Road.
Okay. And is that a house or an apartment?
It's a house.
Can you repeat the address to make sure that I have it right?
I'll talk to you guys. We live at the White, so we're next to them.
I need someone to repeat the address for verification.
The address, 1122 King Road.
And what's the phone number that you're calling from?
What's your phone number?
And tell me exactly what's going on.
One of the roommates has passed out, and she was drunk last night and she's not waking up.
Okay.
Oh, and they saw some man in their house last night. Yeah.
Police arrived to a scene of horror. 4 young lives taken in the night, 2 roommates unharmed but traumatized. The crime scene was chaotic. No sign of forced entry, no murder weapon. The killer had vanished into the night, leaving behind only questions and fear. Word spread quickly. The University of Idaho campus went into lockdown. Parents called their children, desperate for answers. The town of Moscow, unaccustomed to violence, was suddenly at the center of a national nightmare. Detectives worked around the clock. The FBI joined the case. Hundreds of tips poured in, rumors, theories, and wild speculation. The town was gripped by fear. Students left campus in droves. Local businesses closed early. For weeks, the killer remained at large. Police released few details, fueling frustration and panic. Who could have done this? Was it someone they knew? Was the killer still among them? The families of the victims pleaded for answers. Candlelight vigils lit up the campus. 4 young faces became symbols of heartbreak and hope. As days turned into weeks, the mystery deepened. Theories spread like wildfire. Was it a stalker? A jealous ex? A random act of violence? Online sleuths dissected every detail, every rumor, every police statement. But behind the headlines, a community was grieving. Professors canceled classes. Friends left flowers and notes outside the King Road house. The University of Idaho offered counseling, but nothing could erase the fear. For the families, every day without answers was agony. For the town, every shadow was a threat. Kaylee, Madison, Xana, Ethan. 4 lives, each with dreams, each with a future stolen. Their families shared memories. Kaylee's adventurous spirit, Madison's infectious laugh, Xana's kindness, Ethan's loyalty. Sad. The pain was raw, but so was the love. The community came together, not just to mourn, but to remember, to demand justice, to promise that these 4 would never be forgotten. As the investigation stretched into its 2nd week, Moscow was a town transformed. Fear and suspicion crept into every conversation. Doors that once stayed unlocked were now bolted tight. Students left campus in droves, their parents unwilling to risk another tragedy. The police, under a national spotlight, faced mounting pressure. Every day brought new questions, but few answers. The killer was still out there, and everyone wanted to know who and why. Behind the scenes, detectives were piecing together a puzzle. The crime scene was chaotic, but it held secrets. A knife sheath, left behind near one of the victims, became a critical clue. On it, investigators found a single male DNA profile. Meanwhile, police scoured hours of surveillance footage from the neighborhood. A white Hyundai Elantra, seen speeding away from the area around the time of the murders, caught their attention. The car became a focal point. Who owned it, and where had it gone? Cell phone records, digital forensics, and interviews with friends and neighbors all became part of the growing case file. The investigation was slow, methodical, and relentless. With few official updates, the internet filled the void. True crime forums, TikTok, and YouTube exploded with theories. Was it a targeted attack? Was the killer someone the victims knew? Every detail was dissected, every rumor amplified. Some online sleuths helped, sharing tips, analyzing timelines. Others spread misinformation, naming innocent people and fueling panic. The families of the victims pleaded for compassion, but the speculation only grew. For the police, the noise was both a blessing and a curse. Tips poured in, but so did distractions. The truth was buried beneath a mountain of rumor. As Thanksgiving approached, the pressure on law enforcement reached a boiling point. The University of Idaho offered remote classes. The mayor of Moscow assured residents that the town was safe, but few believed it. Detectives worked through the holiday, following up on every lead. The white Hyundai Elantra was traced to thousands of possible owners. The DNA from the knife sheath was run through national databases, but no match was found. Still, the case was moving forward, quietly, methodically, and with a sense of urgency that never let up. In early December, a breakthrough. Investigators used genetic genealogy, a cutting-edge technique that had solved other cold cases. By comparing the DNA from the knife sheath to public ancestry databases, they found a distant relative. The search narrowed to a single family. At the same time, the white Hyundai Elantra was traced to a graduate student at Washington State University, just across the state line, Bryan Kohberger. Kohberger, a criminology PhD student, had a background in criminal justice. He drove a white Elantra. He lived just 10 miles from Moscow, and his cell phone records placed him near the King Road house on the night of the murders. As suspicion grew, police placed Kohberger under surveillance. They watched as he drove cross-country with his father, returning to his family home in Pennsylvania for the holidays. On December 30th, 2022, a SWAT team moved in. Bryan Kohberger was arrested in the early morning hours, charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder. The news sent shockwaves across the country. For the families, it was a moment of relief and of renewed grief. The man accused of killing their children was in custody, but the questions were just beginning. The arrest of Bryan Kohberger became front-page news. Every detail of his life was scrutinized. His studies, his social media posts, his behavior in class. The public wanted to know, who was this man and why did he do it? The case reignited debates about safety on college campuses, the power of forensic science, and the dangers of online speculation. For the people of Moscow, the nightmare was not over, but there was hope that justice was finally within reach. With Bryan Kohberger in custody, investigators began to reveal the evidence that led to his arrest. The DNA on the knife sheath was a match. Cell phone records placed him near the King Road house multiple times in the weeks before the murders, sometimes in the middle of the night. Surveillance footage showed the white Hyundai Elantra circling the neighborhood, headlights off, just before the attack. Data from Kohberger's phone revealed he'd turned it off for several hours during the window of the murders, only to have it ping a cell tower near the crime scene minutes after the killings. But perhaps most chilling was the pattern. Kohberger had studied criminal behavior, written about the mindset of criminals, and even posted online surveys asking ex-cons about their thoughts and feelings before committing crimes. On January 5, 2023, Bryan Kohberger appeared in court for the first time. Shackled and silent, he faced the families of the victims. The judge read the charges: 4 counts of first-degree murder, 1 count of felony burglary. The courtroom was packed. Reporters, family members, and community leaders watched as Kohberger's defense team entered a plea of not guilty. The prosecution outlined the evidence: DNA, surveillance, cell phone data, and the suspect's own writings. For the families, it was a moment of confrontation. For the town of Moscow, it was a step toward justice, but also a reminder of the pain that would never fully heal. The legal process was just beginning. Kohberger's defense team challenged the evidence, questioning the DNA analysis and the reliability of cell phone data. They argued that the case was built on circumstantial evidence and that the investigation had been influenced by public pressure and media scrutiny. Prosecutors, meanwhile, continued to build their case. They interviewed witnesses, gathered expert testimony, and prepared for a trial that would be watched by millions. The judge imposed a gag order, limiting what attorneys and police could say to the media. But the public's appetite for information was insatiable. Every court filing, every new detail became headline news.
Movies and be somebody great one day like that. And now she is just above us as an angel with all the other beautiful kids. So let's hold that to our hearts, because this evil thing is not going to take nothing from us. You, man, I don't know what my limits are here, but I'm really struggling, dude. I am struggling. So I want to just be out in the woods with you just so I can teach you about loss and pain.
Through it all, the families of Kaylee, Madison, Xana, and Ethan became voices for their children. They spoke at vigils, gave interviews, and demanded justice, not just for their loved ones, but for every family touched by violence. Kaylee's father, Steve Goncalves, became a fixture in the media, pushing for transparency and answers. The families leaned on each other, united by grief and determination. Their message was clear. The victims were more than headlines. They were sons, daughters, friends, and dreams that would never be realized. The University of Idaho struggled to return to normal. Security was increased, counseling services expanded, and memorials were held across campus. Students wore ribbons in the victims' honor. Professors paused lectures to allow for moments of silence. But the sense of safety was gone. For many, the King Road house became a symbol of loss, a reminder that even in the safest places, darkness can find a way in. The university announced plans to demolish the house, hoping to help the community heal. But the memories would linger, etched into the hearts of everyone who called Moscow home. The Idaho College Murders sparked a national conversation about campus safety, mental health, and the power and danger of online sleuthing. Lawmakers debated new security measures. Universities across the country reviewed their emergency protocols. True crime podcasts, YouTube channels, and news outlets dissected every detail. The case became a touchstone for discussions about privacy, justice, and the impact of violence on small communities. But for those closest to the victims, the noise was overwhelming. They asked for space, for respect, and for the world to remember the 4 lives at the center of the storm. As the legal battle continued, Moscow tried to heal. The community came together, supporting the families, raising money for scholarships, and holding each other close. The pain would never fully fade, but neither would the love. The memory of Kaylee, Madison, Xana, and Ethan became a call to action, a promise that their lives would not be forgotten, and that their story would inspire change. As the months passed, the world watched and waited for the trial of Bryan Kohberger. Legal teams on both sides prepared for a battle that would be dissected by millions. The prosecution built its case on DNA, digital forensics, and a chilling pattern of behavior. The defense, meanwhile, questioned every detail: challenging the science, the timeline, and the narrative that had gripped the nation. Court dates were set, then delayed. Motions were filed, evidence debated. The judge's gag order kept much of the process behind closed doors, but the public's fascination only grew. For the families, each delay was another wound. For the community, the wait for justice felt endless. Despite the mountain of evidence, many questions remained. What was the motive? Did Kohberger know the victims, or was it a crime of opportunity? How did he choose that house that night? And what, if anything, had he said to anyone in the days before or after the murders? Investigators combed through his past, his studies, his writings, his online activity. They searched for connections, for clues that might explain the unthinkable. But some answers remained elusive, locked away in the mind of the accused. For the families, the lack of motive was a torment. For the public, it was a source of endless speculation. The University of Idaho and the town of Moscow would never be the same. The King Road House, once a place of laughter and friendship, was now a symbol of loss. The university offered counseling, memorials, and new safety measures, but the shadow of that night lingered. Students and faculty spoke of resilience, of coming together in the face of tragedy. Scholarships were established in the victims' names. Annual vigils became a new tradition, a way to remember, to heal, and to promise that such darkness would never be allowed to return. The Idaho College Murders changed more than just one town. Across the country, universities re-examined their safety protocols. Lawmakers debated new laws on campus security and digital privacy. True crime communities reflected on the power and the danger of online investigation. For many, the case was a wake-up call, a reminder that even in the safest places, tragedy can strike. For others, it was a call to action, to support victims, to demand justice, and to never forget the names at the heart of the story. Through every twist and turn, the families of Kaylee, Madison, Xana, and Ethan have remained united. They attend every hearing, speak to the media, and keep their children's memories alive. Their strength has inspired a community and a nation. They know the road to justice is long. They know the pain will never fully fade. But they also know that love endures and that the world is watching. Their message is simple: remember their names, demand the truth, and never let their story be forgotten. As the trial approaches and the world waits for answers, the legacy of Kaylee, Madison, Xana, and Ethan lives on. In every act of kindness, every scholarship awarded, every candle lit in their memory, their light endures. The Idaho College Murders will be studied for years to come, not just as a crime, but as a story of resilience, community, and the unbreakable bonds of love. And as the sun rises over Moscow, Idaho, the promise remains: they will never be forgotten. In the months and years to come, the story of the Idaho College Murders will echo far beyond the borders of Moscow. It will be told in classrooms, in courtrooms, and in the quiet moments when families hold each other a little tighter. For the families of Kaylee, Madison, Xana, and Ethan, the journey is not over. Their fight for justice continues, their love unbroken by tragedy. They have become advocates, not just for their own children, but for every family touched by violence. Moscow, Idaho is a town forever changed, but also forever united. In the face of darkness, the community found strength. In the aftermath of loss, they found purpose. The promise is simple: to remember, to protect, and to never let the light of 4 young lives be extinguished. If you have any information about the Idaho College Murders, please contact the Moscow Police Department. Even the smallest detail could help bring closure to the families and justice to the victims. If you or someone you know is struggling, reach out. There is help. there is hope, and there is a community ready to stand with you. The story of Kaylee, Madison, Xana, and Ethan is not just a tragedy. It is a call to cherish every moment, to look out for one another, and to never take safety for granted. As we remember their lives, let us also remember the power of community, the importance of justice, and the enduring hope that light will always overcome darkness. For Kaylee, for Madison, for Xana, for Ethan, for every family still searching for answers.